guys, welcome to this week's podcast episode. And I've got a guest for you today, Richard Lowe, and he dubs himself as the writing king, and he empowers ambitious business leaders to fast track their careers using the power of a book to amplify their thought leadership, brand, and story. He's also ghostwritten, and he's got bestsellers. So, Richard, welcome.
Thank you. I like being on the podcast. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah. I always, for the audience, it's a lot of highly educated, they high income professionals, and they're interested in entrepreneurship. So talk about what you do, your services, how you got there, and how the audience can benefit from your expertise.
Well, let's start with how I got here. So it's an interesting journey. So I used to work in tech field. So I worked for 33 years in tech. I was a VP of two different companies. I wrote the computers for the water system for Las Vegas Valley Water District, and I led that project. And I was the director of tech services at Trader Joe's, which means I was in charge of cybersecurity and disaster recovery and anything else, you name it, I was in charge of it. And then about 11 years ago, I thought, I don't want to work for corporate anymore. I hate this. I hate the politics. I hate everything. And people were saying, you're not going to make it as a ghostwriter. You're not going to make any money. There's no money in writing, blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, whatever, I'm going to try it out. So I jumped off the cliff and started freelancing, tried a few things, and fell into ghostwriting. And ghostwriting worked out to be really good. Actually making more than I was making when I was at Trader Joe's by quite a bit. And the thing that I like is I get to form relationships with people who want to get their message out and help them get their message out. And that turns out to be something that's right in line with my goals for life, is helping other people describe themselves, their businesses, their stories, etc., in written form. And I just love doing that. I love talking to people and getting their stories and, how they've got there, how they accomplished it, all the secret stuff that nobody ever knows, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. And basically what I do is I ghostwrite books, any kind of book that you've got, but my main focus is on books to help people promote themselves. So the book is a marketing tool that they then use to get on TED Talks. Got a client who did that, to get speaking engagements as keynote speakers. Got several clients who've done that. To get venture cap. Got two clients who've got millions of dollars of venture capital to promote themselves with the press and other things. So what I help them create with the book is a tool that they then can use to promote themselves. And if they use it, and like any tool, if you don't use it, it just sits there and rusts. But if you use it, then they can boost themselves up to a new height that they didn't even dream of before.
Yeah.
That was a lot of words.
Yeah. What's interesting is, we'll talk about, because, we have a lot of, I'm interested also in the impact of AI is going to have on ghostwriting. So, but, what's interesting is you talked about using a book as a marketing tool. And, for example, a lot of first-time authors, they're like, yeah, I'm going to get rich off my book. I'm going to make a six-figure income off my book. And talk to the audience about how that's not always the case. And, talk about how you can leverage your book for, consulting, speaking, other job opportunities, funding, etc.
Well, of course. First of all, 10,000 books a day are published on Amazon every single day. And it's probably gone up since the last time I looked. So you're just another snowflake in the blizzard. People don't see you. So you have to promote it. You have to have the right book covers. You have to have all of the stuff you need to make that book happen. A book that sells more than 50 copies is very, very rare. And you have to work at it. Then the 50 copies, 10 of them are to your mom, 5 of them are to your dad, and probably 100 other people, maybe 200 copies, if you're lucky. So what you have to do is, if you want to sell it, just sell copies, you have to promote the book and you have to have a great book cover. Those are the two things. If the book cover is good and you promote it, then you can sell copies. If the book's not selling, are you promoting it? And is your book cover good? Book covers, and start with the book cover. If it's no good, make a new one, because you can do that self-published. And if you're not promoting it, well, the answer is obvious: promote the darn thing. That's the tough road, and some people do that. A friend of mine is now published her 8th book. They sold a few thousand copies each, and she's on the circuit now, going to all the bookstores and signings and stuff. She's having a great time. So she's on a series, eight books in a series. They're fiction books. But what I do is help authors promote themselves with the book, so they get, like I said, speaking engagements and other things to boost themselves up. That's the main thing that I do. So, like just working with one customer who wants to use the book to give out to his own customers, to explain to them what the product he is that's selling, what the service is, because he speaks tech speak. He's a real tech guy, and he wants me to help him dumb it down from like 10th grade level or 12th grade level down to 2nd grade level. That's the way he put it. And I do that. So I translate his speak into their speak, which is a whole different thing, and using their terms rather than his terms, and make a book that they understand. Yeah. And then then that gets him more sales and better customers and good relationships and all kinds of things.
Yeah, it's really interesting how people are adjusting to the new types of, because before you had to have a publisher and an agent, and now these kind of like the internet and Amazon and Google Books have kind of circumvented the need to do that, and as evidenced by the amount of self-published and also monetization as well. So kind of question for you is so I'm really interested in always the cutting edge. So one part of it is changing consumption habits, and so a lot of I was reading where it's like they're saying blogging, writing, all this stuff is dead because now you've got video and most people are consuming short form video. And like, for example, my book consumption habits have gone from traditional reading to now like audio and video. You can so much more. And then, so that's the first thing. So how is that impacting books? Because you're talking about sales and books not selling. Is that because of consumption habits, or is it something else? It's just basically the market is being flooded with it because it's so easy to write and publish a book these days.
No, since day one of books going back 100 years, the problem is simple. Are you promoting your book? And how does the book cover look? It's really that simple. And then the other things, like, is the book description right, and things like that. Your book will sell if you promote it, and if the book cover is attractive and it looks good as a thumbnail. That's a mistake a lot of authors make, is they put these little teeny titles that you can't read in a thumbnail. People are on cell phones now, and they're tiny, and they can't read the title, so they don't buy it. If you do those things, your book has a much greater chance of selling. It turns out that the number of physical books sold is going up. The number of Kindle books and so forth, the books are going up. People want to read. They have different media to read. They might read it on their smartphone. They might read it on a Kindle. They might listen to an audiobook, but you can do all of those things with your book.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, and that's really interesting. Because then you've got, so then the next question I have for you is, this idea of, with, artificial intelligence now, and now, ChatGPT can crank out books, very quickly. So, why, first thing is, this idea where you need to write your own book, and the second is the need for ghostwriters, because now ChatGPT can write these books and you can edit it very quickly.
It's a good question. The problem with AI is it writes crappy stuff. I can look at a web page, or I can look at something, and I can tell you within a second whether it was written by AI or not, because it's always the same. It's boring. It's at a consistent emotional level. You just look at it and go, okay, that was, yeah, You can do things with prompts to make that a little bit better, but it's going to be crappy. Now, what AI is doing is it's cutting out the low end of ghostwriters, the ghostwriters who don't charge very much, the ones who are on Fiverr or something, who are charging, $500 for a book. Those people are quickly finding themselves unemployed, or they're using AI to pretend like they're ghostwriters. That happens a lot. Those people are in trouble now. Now, I think longer term, 4 years, 5 years down the road, AI will get better and it will probably be able to produce real books, but it can't right now. I mean, I suppose it could, but they're going to be crappy. You need that human imagination in there. You're writing a science fiction novel, you want the human behind it. You're writing a book like I'm writing for whatever it is. You want the human to make it more human oriented. You don't want the robot writing it. Believe me, you don't. It's awful. So what I do is I'm a premium ghostwriter. I'm not at the high end. The celebrity ghostwriters are at the high end. So I'm right between. I'm what's called a premium one. You know, I got a certain word rate, and I sell to people who want quality books. You know, a ghostwriter off Fiverr, go more power to them. If they want an AI book, go for it, because that's not my market.
Yeah. Yeah, it's what's interesting, talking to you is that it seems like with advances in technology, it's just made so for example, like this whole like podcasting is kind of like now the modern day book tour. You don't need to physically go to bookstores, and you don't need physically now you can leverage these social media platforms, and with podcasting now you can use very quick software to edit and get it out there, decent content. And it sounds like with this technology, it's like making it easier for, like basically, 30 years ago when you said you published a book, that was a big deal. These days, it's not so big of a deal, but it still adds more credibility to you as a brand. So, it's kind of interesting. You can go like the traditional publisher, you can be a self-published, then you can have a ghostwriter, you can have AI, and so it's really interesting to see those things. So, when would somebody decide to do self-publishing versus ghostwriting?
Well, a ghostwriter can write a self-published book, so they're not mutually exclusive. The mutually exclusive part comes: do you want to use a traditional publisher, or do you want to use self-publishing? A ghostwriter can do both. Look, how it's published is a different story. So self-publishing is where you go through you do everything by yourself, but you also own the book. So you have to come up with a cover, you have to edit it, all that kind of stuff. You hire somebody to do it. When you go to a traditional publisher, you negotiate, they give you a royalty, they have certain rights to it, but they also have a distribution arm where it can go into bookstores, libraries, and things like that. You can do all that self-publishing, but you have to do it. So you have to promote to libraries. Promoting to libraries is a different thing than promoting anywhere else. I mean, it's very different. So you're going to spend, that's a full-time job. Promoting at a bookstore is another full-time job.
Yeah.
So if you want to get copies of books out there in people's hands, you want to go traditional publisher, or you're going to spend far more than you spend on me as a ghostwriter to write it, to promote it. You're going to hire a PR agency and stuff like that.
Yeah.
AI is just a tool, and it's like any tool. And I don't use it to write, but I use it as a tool to help me write. So I use it to do outlines and to help me research, to keep in mind that it lies a lot. And it's just a tool. And if you look at it as a tool, you'll get along fine with it. If you look at it as it's going to replace your job, it might. So then you should better look for a new job. AI is an interesting thing. I wrote 4 books on AI right now, and precisely this topic, and it's very interesting.
Yeah. And my follow-up question for you is, how much, so for example, like all my books, I own the content, I own the rights, but, but I actually, I wrote the book myself, but I hired a professional editor to do the covers and, make it look professional.
Of course.
But, now my last book, I cut it down to a month, to get it fit, whereas my first book, it was like 9 months. So, but how much in terms of time savings, as well as cost, would you be better if you were going the self-published route and you did it my way, or do it through a ghostwriter?
Well, keep in mind, a ghostwriter is simply the writer. So the ghostwriter then can self-publish. They're not really, you're not doing an either or.
Okay.
So you're hiring a ghostwriter to write your book, and then you're going to publish that book somewhere.
Okay.
So publishing, if you want to do self-publishing traditional, there's something called hybrid, which is where you pay them to publish the book. I wouldn't recommend that. Or traditional publishers. Ghostwriting, you either write it yourself or you hire a ghostwriter, or if you want something really crappy, you can use AI. It's up to you. So a ghostwriter, all it means is I'm writing the book for you and my name's not on the cover. And you are still going to be involved in the research and in the interviews. I still need to get the data from you. You're the knowledge expert. I still need to talk to you. And we'll have a lot of conversations. It still takes your time. So it's not like, here's the book, guy, write it. I want to write a book about the automotive industry. Have fun. You can do that, but the ghostwriter is going to charge you more because now he's doing the research. He's trying to figure all this stuff out. He's interviewing people and you're not involved. So he should be charging you a lot more for that.
Yeah. It's really, it's just basically kind of replacing you and but in a more professional manner. So kind of kind of to end it is which is really interesting. If people were to if they wanted to find out more about you and reach out to you, see your work, maybe even have you help them write their book, how would they connect with you?
Well, the best thing to do is to go to The Writing King, so THE Writing King you can book, spelled out YOUCANBOOK.me, and set up an appointment. So you could do that, or you could go to my website, thewritingking.com, or you can find me on the LinkedIn by putting in The Writing King into the search engine, and you'll find it right away. I think you did that to find me. Yeah, all three of those will get to me at some point. If you want to talk to me, just create an appointment. Use the You Can Book Me link. You can also go to my website, and that link's all over my website. So
yeah. Awesome. Yeah. For all the audience, let's thank Richard for coming on and talking to us about the intricacies of ghostwriting. And all of his resources will be in the links and show notes. Give his socials a like and follow. And thanks so much for coming on.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.